They accused her of stealing a napkin at her own hotel. Security poured wine on her in front of 300 donors, while cameras captured everything. What they didn't know? The woman they humiliated in thrift store clothes owned every brick, every chandelier, every contract they were celebrating. The $700 million expansion deal they toasted? Hers to give, hers to take. And she was about to remind them who signed their paychecks. Before we continue, we'd like for you to hit that subscribe button. Your support means everything to us, and it helps us bring you even more intriguing stories. Now let's begin. You know those nights where everything glitters but something rotten hides underneath? That was the night Maya McDonald walked into the Aquilina luxury resort. She wore a faded denim jacket over a simple black dress from Goodwill, canvas sneakers that had seen better days, hair pulled back in a loose ponytail, no jewelry, no designer bag, nothing that screamed money. She preferred it that way. Let them guess. The ballroom stretched 3 stories high, crystal chandeliers throwing fractured light across marble floors. White orchids climbed gold stands at every table. The air smelled like expensive perfume mixed with champagne and ambition. Servers in crisp uniforms moved like synchronized dancers, balancing trays of caviar and tiny perfect desserts. Phones were out everywhere. Nobody wanted to miss proof they'd been in the room. On every screen, one name kept flashing: Aquilina Luxury Resorts. Their massive $700 million international expansion was all anyone talked about. 12 new properties across 5 continents. The staff whispered about it near the kitchen. The donors bragged like they'd funded it themselves. Maya moved through the crowd slowly, hands in her jacket pockets, eyes scanning faces she'd seen in reports for years but never in person. Security had already stopped her at the entrance. The guard had looked her up and down like she'd wandered in from the street. "Ma'am, this is a private event. Invitation only." Maya had pulled out her slim black card with the silver Aquilina logo. The guard's face had shifted, embarrassed, but his eyes still held doubt. He'd stepped aside, but barely. Inside, the same energy followed her. 2 women in sequined gowns glanced at her, then clutched their purses tighter like she might grab them. A man in a tuxedo moved his champagne glass to his other hand when she passed, creating space between them. Maya simply walked to the bar and ordered water. No need to explain herself. If tonight went the way she planned, explanations wouldn't be necessary. At the far end of the room, cameras turned toward the stage as the host tapped the microphone. His voice boomed over the low chatter. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Aquilina Luxury Resorts Charity Gala." Heads turned. Applause rose like a trained reflex. Maya stayed near a marble column, close enough to see, far enough to be invisible. The host's smile stretched too wide. "Tonight we celebrate not just generosity but vision, a $700 million expansion that will redefine luxury hospitality across the globe." You could feel the greed in the room grow thicker. Then she appeared. Victoria Sterling, the GM's wife, glided onto the stage in a silver gown that probably cost more than most people's cars. She waved like royalty, diamonds catching every light. Beside her stood her husband, Gregory Sterling, the hotel's general manager. Tailored suit pressed sharp, slicked back hair, smile like a shark's. Everyone watched them. Everyone except the woman who owned the hotel they were standing in. Maya. Whispers started before Maya even moved. People clocked her from across the room, nudging each other like she'd slipped past security. A server passed with champagne, and one guest leaned toward her friend. "I swear that girl keeps appearing where she shouldn't be. Maybe she's with the catering company trying to network." The friend laughed softly. Bold strategy. Wrong venue. Maya ignored it. She eased through the crowd, hands relaxed, steps measured. The carpet felt thick under her worn sneakers, absorbing sound. She watched the stage from a distance, eyes steady, jaw set. Victoria spotted her first. Her smile formed slow and sharp, like she'd found prey she'd been hunting. She whispered something to Gregory, and his expression darkened. He stepped off the stage with forced charm and walked straight toward Maya, His cologne arrived before he did. "Miss, are you supposed to be standing here?" He reached out and touched her sleeve like he expected her to flinch. Maya kept her voice soft. "I'm fine here. Just observing." Gregory chuckled, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "Observing, right." He snapped his fingers at a server. "Can someone get her a staff badge? She looks confused." A few guests looked over, trying not to stare. One man whispered loud enough. "How'd she get past the door? This is a $10,000 plate event." Another voice added, "Someone's assistant probably gave her their invite. Happens every year." Victoria approached next, heels clicking a clean rhythm on the marble. She picked up a champagne flute from a passing tray without looking at the server. Her eyes traveled up and down Maya's outfit like she was inspecting something distasteful. "Sweetie, if you needed work tonight, there's an application process. Crashing donor events isn't the move." Her voice dripped with fake sweetness. Maya said nothing. Her calm unsettled them more. Victoria stepped closer, voice dropping. "Are you even hearing me? Or do I need to use smaller words?" Gregory placed a hand on his wife's shoulder. "Let me handle this." He turned to Maya. "Look, I don't know who you think you are, but this event is for people who actually contribute to society. Not whatever this is." He gestured vaguely at her outfit. Maya's expression didn't change. She simply looked at him, steady and quiet. That silence made Gregory angrier. "Security!" he called out, voice sharp. 2 security guards appeared quickly, unsure but obedient. Gregory pointed at Maya. "This woman doesn't belong here. She's making our guests uncomfortable." One guard hesitated. "Sir, she had an invitation card." "I don't care what she flashed at the door," Victoria cut in. "She clearly doesn't belong. Look at her." Phones started rising. Guests sensed drama unfolding. Someone whispered, "This is going online for sure." Gregory grabbed a glass of red wine from a nearby table. He held it up, making sure people could see. "Maybe this will help you understand where you stand." Then he tilted it forward. The wine splashed across Maya's jacket and dress, dark red spreading like a stain on her dignity. Gasps cut through the room. Victoria laughed, covering her mouth with her hand. "Oops, now you really do need to leave." A guard stepped forward, uncertain. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to escort you out." Maya wiped a drop of wine from her cheek with 2 fingers. Slow, controlled. She adjusted her jacket, straightened her posture, and looked Gregory directly in the eyes. No words, just a look that made him shift his weight. Then she walked toward the exit, every step deliberate. The crowd parted like water. A server whispered as she passed. That woman walked out like she owned the place. Another voice, quieter. What if she does? Nobody believed it. Yet. The hallway outside the ballroom felt cooler, almost silent after the noise she'd left behind. Maya moved with steady steps, fingertips brushing the edge of her jacket where wine clung in dark patches. She exhaled once, quiet and controlled, then reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. The screen lit her face with a soft glow. She tapped one number. A voice answered immediately. "Ready for instructions, Ms. McDonald." Maya kept her voice low and clear. "Pull the expansion deal. Freeze all operational accounts. Terminate Gregory Sterling's contract effective immediately. Announce it in 10 minutes. "Understood. Anything else?" "Board meeting tomorrow morning. I'll be attending in person." "Yes, ma'am." She ended the call without emotion. A couple waited near the elevator, watching her like they recognized her from somewhere they couldn't place. The woman murmured, "That's the girl they drenched." The man shook his head slowly. "She didn't even react. That's not normal." Maya pressed the elevator button and gave them a simple nod. Nothing more. While she descended, she loosened her damp jacket slightly. The faint smell of wine lingered in the fabric. The elevator hummed with soft music that faded into the walls. Maya's reflection stared back at her from the polished brass doors. Steady eyes, calm jaw. She checked a second message on her phone. Legal team confirmed. Everything was moving. When the doors opened, the lobby buzzed with guests stepping out for calls, drinks, or fresh gossip. Someone noticed the wine stain and whispered, "That's her." Another voice near the concierge desk, "I swear something's off. You don't walk like that unless you're somebody." Maya moved past them without slowing. Outside, the night air carried a bite of cold, enough to sharpen her thoughts. A valet rushed forward, but Maya lifted a hand lightly. "Walking is fine." The valet stepped back, confused. As Maya crossed the curved driveway, lights from the ballroom spilled across the pavement. Music inside swelled, then cut suddenly. People turned toward the glass windows, confused. A man near the entrance muttered, "Why'd everything stop?" His date grabbed his arm. "Something happened in there. Look at their faces." Maya reached the edge of the property. Her phone vibrated again. A message popped up. Announcement delivered. Accounts frozen. Termination processed. She locked the screen and slipped the phone back into her pocket. Behind her, the hotel's glass doors burst open. Voices rose in shock. Chairs scraped. A sudden wave of commotion flooded the lobby. Guests rushed toward the entrance, trying to understand what went wrong. Maya didn't turn around. She stepped into the streetlight, shoulders relaxed, expression unreadable, moving with the same quiet certainty she'd carried all night. While the city hummed around her, the first tremor of the fallout began inside the hotel she'd just left. She kept walking. The night moved with her. Inside the ballroom, everything shattered at once. The music cut mid-chord. Screens flickered and went black. The host froze with his champagne glass half raised. A tall man in a gray suit rushed through the tables, phone pressed against his ear. His face shifted from confusion to pure panic. He whispered something urgent to the host, whose smile collapsed. Gregory noticed first. "What's going on?" he demanded, voice cutting through the confused murmurs. The host swallowed hard. "The expansion deal, it's been suspended." The room erupted. Conversations rose sharp and frantic, overlapping like competing sirens. Someone near the stage muttered, "Suspended? What does that even mean?" A woman in a red dress grabbed her partner's arm. "You don't freeze a $700 million deal in the middle of a gala. That's impossible." Victoria tried to maintain composure, but her hand trembled against her champagne flute. She leaned toward the host. "Who gave that order?" The host looked almost afraid to speak. "It came from ownership. The directive is final." Gregory's jaw tightened. "I am ownership. I run this hotel." The host shook his head slowly. "Not tonight, sir." Across the room, executives checked their phones. Alerts popped up rapid fire, each one worse than the last. Someone blurted out, "Every Aquilina operational account just got frozen." Another voice added, "Investors are pulling out. My alerts won't stop." Gasps spread through the crowd like wildfire. Cameras clicked again, but this time aimed at Gregory and Victoria. Even the servers stopped moving, trays frozen mid-air. Then someone near the doors tapped a friend's shoulder and whispered, "Look at this." The friend leaned closer, eyes widening. "Wait, isn't that the girl they just humiliated?" A video played on a phone. The clip showed Gregory pouring wine on Maya. The splash crystal clear, Victoria's laugh cutting through. The caption read, "They destroyed a woman they thought was nobody. She walked out like she owned the place." The clip traveled through the room like electricity. Guests stared. Phones lifted everywhere. Gasps turned into thick, suffocating silence. Victoria grabbed Gregory's arm. "Fix this! Now!" He snapped back. "I don't even know what's broken." Her voice cracked. "Someone did this on purpose." A new alert flashed across the main display screens, the ones that had been showing the Aquilina logo moments before. Aquilina Luxury Resorts. Expansion deal terminated. GM Gregory Sterling. Contract terminated effective immediately. Gregory blinked hard, reading it twice. Terminated. The word came out hollow. No warning. No negotiation. A board member stormed up to him, face red. Do you have any idea what you've done? Do you know who you just humiliated? Gregory barked. I humiliated nobody. Some random girl crashed our event. The board member's voice dropped to something dangerous. That random girl? That's Maya McDonald. Silence crashed over them like a wave. Victoria's breath hitched. Who? The board member looked at her like she'd asked what water was. The owner. The actual owner. She owns Aquilina, all of it. Every hotel, every contract, every expansion deal. His voice rose. You poured wine on the woman who signs your paychecks. A gasp rippled through the ballroom like thunder. Phones lifted higher, recording everything. A server whispered near the wall. I knew it. I knew she didn't walk like staff. Another server whispered back, voice shaking. They just ended their entire lives. Gregory looked around the room like oxygen had vanished. His face drained of color. Victoria pressed a hand to her forehead, smudging her makeup. Her voice shook. We poured wine on the owner? The board member stepped back, distancing himself. You didn't just humiliate her. You humiliated the company in front of donors, in front of cameras, in front of the world. Someone shouted from the back. It's already trending online. Another voice. 3 million views in 10 minutes. The fallout hit with full, merciless force. Guests backed away from Gregory and Victoria like they carried plague. Some left quietly through side exits. Others stayed, recording every second of the collapse. Victoria's hands trembled so hard she dropped her champagne flute. It shattered on the marble, the sound sharp and final. Gregory tried to speak, but nothing came out. His carefully built world cracked in real time, pieces falling faster than he could catch them. Somewhere outside, Maya kept walking, calm, unbothered. The city lights reflected off her wine-stained jacket, and behind her, Aquilina luxury resorts burned from the inside out. Morning arrived brutal for Gregory and Victoria. Headlines flooded every screen before sunrise. Hotel GM humiliates own boss at charity event. $700 deal collapses after executive pours wine on owner. Maya McDonald fires GM who didn't recognize her. The video clip looped non-stop on every platform. The wine splash. Victoria's laugh. Maya's silent exit. Comment section tore them apart without mercy. Imagine being so arrogant you don't even know who owns your company. That walkout was legendary. She didn't say a word and destroyed their entire career. This is what happens when you judge people by their clothes. Investors bailed overnight. Partners vanished. Board members resigned before breakfast. Aquilina's stock took a hit, but recovered once Maya issued a statement promising new leadership. Gregory and Victoria's reputations. Those didn't recover. Victoria barely slept. She sat on the edge of their bed in their luxury penthouse, hands shaking, mascara smudged down her cheeks, phone buzzing non-stop with messages she couldn't bear to read. Gregory paced the room, hair messy, shirt wrinkled, tie abandoned somewhere on the floor. Every call he made ended the same way. We can't be associated with this. Don't contact us again. You're toxic now. By noon, Victoria's voice came out hollow. We have to talk to her. If we don't apologize, we're finished everywhere. Not just Aquilina, everywhere. Gregory hesitated, pride fighting survival. Survival won. He nodded weakly. They drove to Maya's address, a modest townhouse in a quiet neighborhood far from the glittering towers they'd inhabited. The contrast wasn't lost on them. No gates, no security. Just a simple blue door with a small garden in front. Gregory knocked. Once, twice. The door opened. Maya stood there in jeans and a sweater, hair down, no makeup. She looked younger without the ballroom lights, but her eyes held the same steady weight. She studied them with calm silence, like none of the chaos they were drowning in had touched her at all. Victoria spoke first, voice breaking. Maya, Ms. McDonald, we were wrong. Completely, horribly wrong. We treated you like you were nothing. Tears started forming. Please, please let us fix this. Let us apologize publicly. Let us make this right. Gregory added, shaky and desperate. We lost everything. Our jobs, our reputation, our future. Just give us a chance. One conversation. That's all we're asking. Maya stepped aside slightly, but didn't invite them in. She leaned against the door frame, arms crossed loosely. Her voice came soft, but impossibly firm. You didn't lose everything today. You lost it the second you decided people's worth came from how they looked, what they wore, whether they fit your idea of important. They stood frozen, listening. She continued, each word measured. You built a world where you believed disrespect had no cost, where humiliation was entertainment, where power meant you could treat people like objects. You didn't just misjudge me. You revealed who you are. Victoria wiped her face with trembling hands. We didn't know who you were. Maya's expression didn't change. That's exactly the problem. You didn't care who I was. You saw thrift store clothes and decided I wasn't human enough to deserve basic dignity. You poured wine on me in front of 300 people because you thought there'd be no consequences. Gregory swallowed hard, voice barely above a whisper. Is there anything we can do? Anything at all? Maya shook her head once, final and absolute. The deal is gone. The trust is gone. Your positions are gone. And my door? She straightened up. My door is closed. She stepped back inside, hand on the door. But before closing it, she delivered one last quiet line that hit like a hammer. Walk carefully. The world is smaller than you think, and people remember how you made them feel. The door closed. Soft click, permanent. Gregory and Victoria stood on the porch, staring at the blue paint. No second chance, no redemption arc, just consequences, delivered cold and final. They left with nothing. She went back to her coffee. Weeks later, Maya stood in the Aquilina Grand Ballroom again. Different energy this time. New management, new culture. The expansion deal, restructured and moving forward under leadership that understood respect, wasn't optional. Gregory and Victoria, last anyone heard, they'd left the city. No hotels would touch them. No luxury brands wanted their names attached. The internet never forgot. Maya wore the same thrift store jacket to the relaunch event. Intentional, symbolic. Guests noticed. Some smiled, others finally understood. Their legacy crumbled. Hers kept building. If you want more stories where power shifts in a single moment and justice lands clean, hit that subscribe button and stay locked in. Because dignity doesn't negotiate and silence can be the loudest response of all.